Top 25 Desktop Support Technician Interview Questions and Answers. In the competitive field of IT, preparation is key for aspiring desktop support technicians. This video presents a curated list of the top 25 interview questions you may encounter and offers insightful answers to help you navigate them successfully. With a focus on essential technical skills, problem-solving abilities, and customer service, these questions aim to assess your readiness for the role. Use this resource to enhance your confidence and approach interviews with greater assurance. 1. What is the role and key responsibilities of a desktop support technician? A desktop support technician serves as the first line of defense for IT issues within an organization. They are responsible for diagnosing and resolving hardware and software problems, installing and configuring computers, and ensuring that all IT equipment operates efficiently. They assist users with technical issues, manage software updates, and provide guidance on best practices for using technology. Additionally, they document incidents and solutions for future reference, contributing to a knowledge base that can help improve the support process and enhance user experience. 2. How do you troubleshoot a computer that won't boot up? When troubleshooting a computer that won't boot up, start by checking the power supply and connections to ensure the system is receiving power. Next, listen for any unusual sounds, like beeping, which can indicate hardware issues. If the computer powers on but doesn't boot, check for error messages or a blank screen. You can attempt to boot in safe mode by pressing F8 during startup. If that fails, consider removing any external devices and running hardware diagnostics if available. As a last resort, boot from installation media to access recovery options and repair system files. 3. Explain your process for diagnosing a slow-running computer. When diagnosing a slow-running computer, I start by checking the system's resource usage with Task Manager to identify any processes consuming excessive CPU or memory. Next, I perform a thorough virus and malware scan using reliable software, as infections can significantly slow down performance. I also check for unnecessary startup programs and disable them to improve boot time. Additionally, I analyze disk space and defragment the hard drive if necessary. Finally, I ensure that the operating system and drivers are up to date, which can resolve many performance issues. 4. How would you reset a forgotten Windows password? Resetting a forgotten Windows password typically involves using a password reset disk, if one was created. If not, you can boot into safe mode and utilize the built-in administrator account, provided it's enabled. Alternatively, third-party software can also be used to create a bootable USB or CD to reset the password. For Windows 10 and 11, using the Microsoft Account Recovery option is an effective method if the account is linked online. Always ensure that any method used complies with organizational policies regarding data security. 5. What steps do you take to configure a network printer for multiple users? Configuring a network printer for multiple users involves several steps. First, connect the printer to the network via Ethernet or Wi-Fi, ensuring it is powered on. Next, install the printer drivers on a central computer or server that can act as a print server. Access the printer's settings through its IP address in a web browser to configure network settings. Share the printer on the network, allowing other users to access it. Finally, guide users to add the network printer on their devices by selecting Add Printer in their settings and entering the printer's IP address or name. 6. Describe how you would troubleshoot Wi-Fi connectivity issues. To troubleshoot Wi-Fi connectivity issues, I would start by checking if other devices can connect to the network. If they can, I would focus on the affected device. Next, I would ensure that Wi-Fi is enabled on the device and that airplane mode is off. I would check the signal strength and try moving closer to the router. Restarting both the device and the router is a key step. If problems persist, I would forget the network and reconnect by entering the password again. Finally, I would check for any firmware updates on the router and ensure that network drivers on the device are up to date. 7. What tools do you use for remote desktop support? For remote desktop support, I utilize various tools, including TeamViewer, AnyDesk, and Microsoft Remote Desktop. These applications allow for seamless remote access, enabling me to troubleshoot issues directly on the user's machine. I also use built-in Windows tools like Remote Assistance and Remote Desktop Connection for quick access when necessary. Additionally, I often incorporate ticketing systems like Zendesk or ServiceNow that integrate remote support features, ensuring efficient tracking of issues and resolutions. Having a reliable set of tools helps streamline the support process and enhances user satisfaction. 8. How do you manage and install software updates in a corporate environment? To manage and install software updates in a corporate environment, I first assess the update requirements and compatibility with existing systems. I utilize centralized management tools, such as WSUS or SCCM, to deploy updates efficiently across multiple devices. Prior to deployment, I test updates in a controlled environment to identify potential issues. Communication with users is essential, so I schedule updates during off-peak hours to minimize disruption. Regular monitoring and reporting help ensure all devices remain up to date, maintaining security and functionality across the network. 9. What is the blue screen of death and how do you approach resolving it? The blue screen of death, BSOD, occurs when Windows encounters a critical error, preventing the system from operating safely. To resolve it, first, note any error codes displayed on the screen, as they can guide troubleshooting. Restart the computer and check for hardware issues, such as loose connections or failing components. Booting in safe mode helps determine if third-party software is causing conflicts. Running diagnostic tools, checking for driver updates, and analyzing system logs can further pinpoint the issue. If necessary, restoring the system to a previous state may help regain stability. 10. How do you detect and remove malware from a computer system? Detecting and removing malware involves several steps. First, run a full system scan using reliable antivirus software to identify any malicious files. If malware is detected, follow the software's instructions to quarantine or delete the threats. Next, check for unusual system behavior or unauthorized programs and processes running in the background. Utilize tools like Malwarebytes for additional scans. Finally, update your operating system and applications to patch vulnerabilities and strengthen security measures, ensuring the system is protected against future infections. Regular backups can also help recover data if needed. 11. Describe the steps involved in creating a system restore point. Creating a system restore point involves several key steps. First, open the control panel and navigate to System and Security, then select System. From there, click on System Protection in the left sidebar. In the System Properties window, ensure that the protection for your desired drive is turned on. Click the Create button, provide a descriptive name for the restore point, and then click Create again. The system will process and notify you once the restore point is successfully created. This allows you to revert the system to a previous state if issues arise later. 12. How do you explain technical problems and solutions to non-technical users? When explaining technical problems and solutions to non-technical users, I use clear and simple language, avoiding jargon. I start by identifying the user's understanding level and tailoring my explanation accordingly. Visual aids, such as diagrams or screenshots, can be helpful to illustrate concepts. I break down complex issues into manageable parts, using analogies or relatable examples. Encouraging questions ensures they feel comfortable asking for clarification. Finally, summarizing the solution in practical terms reinforces understanding and helps users feel more confident in handling similar issues in the future. 13. What is the difference between a hard drive and a solid-state drive? A hard drive, HDD, uses spinning disks coated with magnetic material to read and write data, while a solid-state drive, SSD, uses flash memory to store data electronically. HDDs typically offer larger storage capacities at a lower cost, but they are slower and more prone to mechanical failure due to moving parts. In contrast, SSDs provide faster data access and boot times, consume less power, and are more durable due to their lack of moving components. However, SSDs are generally more expensive per gigabyte. Choosing between the two depends on requirements for speed, capacity, and budget. 14. How do you perform data recovery for accidentally deleted files? Data recovery for accidentally deleted files can begin with checking the recycle bin, as files may still be recoverable from there. If not, using specialized data recovery software is the next step. These programs scan the hard drive for recoverable data. It's important to avoid writing new data to the drive, as this can overwrite the deleted files. If software solutions are ineffective, professional data recovery services might be necessary. Always maintain backups to mitigate data loss risks in the future, ensuring a more secure environment for important files. 15. What methods do you use to maintain user account permissions and security? Maintaining user account permissions and security involves several key methods. Regular audits of user accounts help ensure that permissions align with job roles. Implementing role-based access control, RBAC, limits access based on the user's role. Utilizing strong password policies and multi-factor authentication, MFA, enhances security against unauthorized access. Periodic reviews of active accounts, especially for former employees, are crucial. Training users on security best practices can minimize risks associated with human error. Monitoring logs for unusual activity aids in detecting potential security breaches promptly. 16. How do you troubleshoot issues with external devices such as USB drives or printers? When troubleshooting external devices like USB drives or printers, I start by checking physical connections. For USB drives, I ensure they are securely plugged into the port. If the device is still unrecognized, I try a different USB port or another computer to isolate the issue. For printers, I check the power status and ensure they have paper and ink. Next, I verify printer settings on the computer, ensuring it's set as the default printer. If problems persist, I update drivers and run built-in troubleshooting tools to identify any software conflicts. 17. Can you explain the difference between IPv4 and IPv6? IPv4, or Internet Protocol version 4, uses a 32-bit address scheme allowing for approximately 4.3 billion unique addresses. Its format consists of 4 decimal numbers separated by periods, such as 192.168.1.1. IPv6, or Internet Protocol version 6, was developed to address the limitations of IPv4 and employs a 128-bit address scheme, vastly increasing the number of available addresses to about 340 undecillion. Its format is represented by 8 groups of 4 hexadecimal digits separated by colons, like 2001, 0DB8, 85A3, 0000, 0000, 8A2E, 0370, 7334. IPv6 also introduces features like simplified address assignment and improved security protocols. 18. How would you handle a workstation that can't connect to the network? To begin, I would check the physical connections, ensuring the Ethernet cable is securely plugged into both the workstation and the network port. Next, I would verify that the network adapter is enabled and functioning properly. This includes checking Device Manager for any errors. If everything appears normal, I would run the network troubleshooter to identify issues. I would also test the workstation on a different network port or connect it to a different network cable to rule out hardware faults. If the problem persists, I would review IP configuration settings and check for any static IP conflicts. 19. What experience do you have with scripting or automation to streamline support tasks? I have experience with scripting primarily in PowerShell and Python, which have proven valuable for automating repetitive tasks. For example, I've created scripts that automate software installations and updates across multiple workstations, significantly reducing the time spent on these tasks. I also developed a script to gather system information for troubleshooting, which helps in quickly diagnosing issues. Utilizing automation not only improves efficiency but also minimizes human error, allowing me to focus on more complex technical challenges and user support. 20. Describe a challenging technical problem you solved on the job. One challenging technical problem I encountered involved a network outage affecting multiple users in a corporate office. Users reported that they could not access shared drives or the internet. I began by checking the network switches and routers for any signs of failure. Upon finding no hardware issues, I analyzed the network configuration and discovered an IP address conflict caused by a misconfigured DHCP server. I resolved the conflict by adjusting the DHCP settings and ensuring static IPs were correctly assigned. After implementing these changes, connectivity was restored, and users regained access to their resources promptly. 21. How do you prioritize support tickets when handling multiple issues? To prioritize support tickets effectively, I assess each ticket based on urgency and impact. I categorize issues as critical, high, medium, or low priority. Critical issues affecting multiple users or business operations take precedence. I also consider the duration since the ticket was submitted. Older tickets may require faster resolution. Communication with users helps clarify urgency, allowing me to prioritize accordingly. Regular follow-ups ensure that no tickets are overlooked. This structured approach helps manage workload efficiently while maintaining service quality. 22. What security protocols do you follow when working on users' machines? When working on users' machines, I adhere to several security protocols to ensure data protection and privacy. First, I verify user identity before accessing their systems. I use strong, unique passwords and enable two-factor authentication when possible. All sensitive data is encrypted both in transit and at rest. I restrict access to files and applications based on user roles. Regular updates and patches are applied to software to mitigate vulnerabilities. Additionally, I conduct thorough scans for malware and ensure that antivirus software is active and updated. User education on safe practices is also emphasized to enhance security awareness. 23. How do you handle a difficult or upset end user? Handling a difficult or upset end user requires patience and empathy. First, I would actively listen to their concerns without interrupting, demonstrating that I value their feelings. Acknowledging their frustration is crucial. I would express understanding of their situation. Next, I would ask clarifying questions to gather all relevant information about the issue. After understanding the problem, I would provide a clear explanation of the steps I will take to resolve it. Maintaining a calm demeanor and focusing on solutions helps build trust and can often de-escalate the situation. 24. Can you walk me through setting up a new employee's workstation? Setting up a new employee's workstation involves several key steps. First, I ensure that I have the necessary hardware, including a computer, monitor, keyboard, mouse, and any other peripherals required. Next, I install the operating system and any necessary software applications, including productivity tools and security software. I configure network settings and ensure the workstation is connected to the corporate network. After that, I set up user accounts, assigning appropriate permissions and access levels. Finally, I test all components to ensure everything functions correctly and provide the employee with an overview of how to use their new equipment and access resources. 25. How do you keep your technical skills up to date? Staying current with technology is essential for a desktop support technician. I regularly follow industry blogs and participate in online forums to learn about new tools and trends. Attending webinars and conferences enhances my knowledge and allows me to network with other professionals. I also dedicate time each week to hands-on practice with new software and hardware, ensuring I can effectively support users. Additionally, pursuing relevant certifications keeps my skills aligned with industry standards and best practices, ensuring I can provide the best service possible. As you prepare for your desktop support technician interview, familiarizing yourself with these top 25 questions and their answers can greatly enhance your confidence and performance. Understanding both technical skills and customer service aspects will help you stand out as a candidate. Remember, practice makes perfect, so take the time to rehearse your responses. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insightful content. Good luck with your interview journey.